We are speaking with singer David Reece. David, always a pleasure. We've done quite a few of these, and I enjoy our chats every time. Now, folks
As do
who
I.
yes, and for folks who will be watching this, you'll notice my eyes dart back and forth. That is because I set up notes on the computer to make sure I don't miss or forget anything. So here we are. We are going to talk about the new project, Sainted Sinners. Let's
Indeed.
let's just leave it at that, and you start. As if we're putting together a Lego project here. Build it up for the fans. Explain what it is, how it came about. I mean everything. The future, the band, the music, everything. Let's go.
Okay. Everybody knows that I was in Bonfire for a few years. We
Mm-hmm.
did, I think, 4 albums, 3 with Bonfire and 1 with Easy Living,
Mm-hmm.
Hans and I.
Yep.
Uh, when he decided to sort of take the name, buy the name from Klaus, being that I was in Easy Living, he, first obvious choice, we toured for a year together. And I said, yeah. Unbeknownst to me, I really didn't know. I said, let's drag Ronnie along, Parks and Harry Reichman, who was in Bonfire at the same time with him, obviously was in, but I didn't know who the guitar player was going to be. And I had some ideas who I wanted. One would have been Mario Percadani, the other was Andy Susamil, and a few other guys I know, even maybe Kurt Mitchell from Bangalore. But he had been talking to Frank Pane, and we showed up for rehearsals. I had no clue who this guy was, and we had like a week locked out in a city called Berglingenfeld, which was our first show in 2015. And in walks Frank with this giant Laney backline because he's sponsored by them and all this beautiful equipment, beautiful man, great looking wife, and a child. I'm the guitar player. I said, okay. He plugged in, and I just jaw dropped. Wow, he was completely ready. And the weird thing was how Sainted Sinners happened was in July of 2016. I was going to leave the band Bonfire. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But I was replaced on the 2nd of July. I told the band numerous times, I want out of this. I'm not happy. And they were like, no, don't go, don't go. But at that time, things were so bad with communication that the only one I was really speaking with was Frank. And I'd kind of grown to know Frank, but not as well as I knew Ronnie or Hans. And I was out after Cluzoni, went home going, okay, got to regroup. What am I going to do? Um, Ugly split. So about a week later, Frank called me and said, my wife is working in the south of Italy. Can I come to your house, which I'm in the kind of the north area? I want to talk to you. I don't like how this ended. We're friends, and I have some ideas. I said, sure. So he came down with his children and basically spilled his guts to me that he wanted to continue working with me, that he thought he called me one of his favorite singers of all time. And I just looked at him like, what? And he said, yeah, I've got an album because he had left Perpendicular, his other band, around the same time and had written the music for this next album. And I said, okay, but we've got to clear the slate here. I've got some issues, did you say, did you want, would have happened, blah, blah. And he came completely clean with me and showed me nothing but respect and friendship and reached across the table and said, now this is the album that I always wanted you to sing on, and played me a song called Truth is a Lie. That was the title I came up with right there at the table. And in a minute, it was done. We recorded it, and he looked at me and played me another song, and I went, wow. I said, load my phone up. And he left a few days later, and in probably a week, I had finished 3 or 4. It just jumped. And he had this label, a few labels were wanting to sign us, actually, but he kept saying, I know a label called Il Puerto, and they're one of the guys at Toda is out of Brainstorm, is one of the owners, and Ben is the other partner, and they really want to sign us. They believe in us. It's a new label. And I was like, I don't know. But they called for a meeting, and I met with them, and they laid it on the table and offered us a multi-album deal. That's what I said I wanted. It wasn't just like, let's stick it to the wall, and if it works, we'll do it again. I made it really clear. If I'm going to do this, this is what I want. And they said, great, we do too. So that started off great. Um, still on the Saint and Sinners issues, he also mentioned, he goes, I'm very good friends with Ferdy Dornberg from Axel Rudy Pell on keyboards, and I've seen the guy multiple times live and met him a few times. Fantastic musician. He goes, he wants in. So on the process of recording, we started out in Germany. I recorded 5 vocal tracks there, and Ferdy did all the keyboards, and then Malte Burkert from Perpendicular and Bercy Hurleman on drums were brought into the fold just because it worked. And 5 vocal tracks were finished. We showed that to the label then, not long after that, and they were like, yes, let's dry paper with ink. And I finished the other, I guess, 8 tracks or so at Mario Percadani's studio here in Italy, Tanzan. And it's fantastic. It's got everything I came from. It's Paul Rogers. It's Phil Mogg. It's the old Whitesnake, Deep Purple. It's me. In Bonfire, basically, you're a hired guy. There's really no room for, let's say, for instance, the album Glorious was handed to me in like 40-second pieces, and Hans said, do something. And they were basically songs he told me that Klaus refused to even write to for years. So what we got out of that, Glorious, was a great album. It sold great and kind of put me in his, I don't know the word, the most comfortable spot to be accepted as the new Bonfire singer as I could be. So with Frank, it was different because Frank, these are the stuff that Frank's not really going to throw at Bonfire. And here we are. The album comes out the 24th of February. And our first video was released Friday. We're all Sainted Sinners. And we have another one for a track called Maybe She's Got Balls. It's a tongue-in-cheek about a guy meeting a woman he thinks in a club. And kind of funny, but it's real heavy and great. And that's the second video we've already shot. You want me to mention show dates or anything? Or
Yeah, do whatever you want.
go ahead. You got something to ask? Or
Well, okay, you touched upon the Bonfire thing. You did, Pearls, Glorious, The Easy Living, and of course one of those was a double album.
yep.
Um, did you at any time feel comfortable in a band? At any time did you feel okay, I'm in the right place, or was it always sort of on the edge?
It was fine until management was brought in. We had toured in Easy Living together, and I know we did probably 30 shows in that year. And I wanted to tour. I mean, so here this guy named Hans Ziller calls me, who I'd met when I was doing the Accept album. He was next door with Bonfire. Then I saw him in England at Firefest, and he said, "You and I should do an album together someday." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Well, Michael Voss, when Hans decided to do Easy Living, said, "Call Reese. He would be perfect for this." So when I was sitting in my living room in Montana, Hans emailed me and said, "Yeah, would you do this?" I said, "Here's what I'll charge you for the album. You want me to write?" "Yeah, write these 3 songs." I did. A lot of it was stuff he did with the original Easy Living. They were remakes, the album. Kind of a strange record, but it opened the door. And then he wrote me back and said, "Can you tour?" And I'm like, here we go again. Can you tour? And it never comes into fruition. Well, Hans booked like 15 days within a week. And I was on a plane to Germany playing shows with the condition that from the Tango Down project that I brought Ronnie into that group because Ronnie and I had bonded at that time. And he said, "No problem." So that's why I did it. I was really comfortable with that. It was enjoyable because it was more of an organic thing. We had guys like Paul Morris and from Rainbow. We would just kind of jam on stage, and people really responded to that. It was just uplifting to be able to take a song for 10 minutes and like the old Deep Purple kind of thing almost. But then he said, "Okay, I'm going to buy the name Bonfire because Klaus had announced his departure that year in November, I think, 2014. Will
Around
you be
there.
the singer?" Yeah. So I said, "Sure. This is obvious. We get along fine. We've lived in a van together for a year, and let's do this." And good career step for me. Yeah, they're playing bigger shows than Easy Living, of course. And I want to tour because it's essential. You can make all the records you want in your living room, Mitch, but it's not gonna do anything. I mean, there's so many bands that are doing 3 albums every month that never leave the house. I want to perform. So I knew that this was going to be a touring situation, the entity. And it was. I think we did 100 shows the first year. So management comes in immediately. I disagree with management, the plan. Things changed. It just got weird from what it was before. And I'm not a follower. I, I, I have to be able to express myself. And that was basically shut in my face. And I've some things I found out I didn't agree with, and I brought to their attention. They basically told me to shut up. That's the way it is. And I just was not willing to accept that. And maybe I should have kept my mouth shut, but I have to personally feel good. I have to look over at a guitar player and go, that's my guy. And towards the end of Bonfire, that's kind of what Frank and I were doing. We were looking at each other going, this is cool. Because, we were good live. We really were. Of course, we had this back catalog that everybody knew. That helps a lot. But no, it was a matter of, I've done this a long time, and you've done what you do a long time. And there's things that work and things that don't work. And you have to have some type of say. And I just didn't like how it happened. And I just basically made up my mind, well, this has just gone on too long. I want out of this. And I had gone to the band, to Hans and his manager, and said, I'm done. I want out in December of 2016. No. It's so hard to find a singer that can write and perform and sing like you. Oh, no. Well, then change this. Nope. It went on like that. So I just said, it's like a bad marriage. I got to get out of here. Well, they had went around and found a guy that they use now as a replacement. But in the big picture, I think they had planned Michael Borman to be the guy, and made the announcement like a day after I left. And that didn't work out. And then now they got Alex back. So, to be honest, I'm physically and mentally a lot more healthy than I was, because it was a burden. I just didn't want to play live with him anymore.
Yeah. Now,
and I think
let me ask you about bands and stuff. You've done a couple of albums under the Reece title, but you've done Tango Down, Bangalore Choir, Accept, Bonfire, now Sainted Sinners. Why not just go out as David Reece and start it as a solo career and just do what you want under your umbrella and say, this is my band, these are my parameters, I'm not going to follow anybody's...
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. And the truth is, although that I'm known worldwide, gigs as a solo guy, it doesn't happen. So a brand helps a lot more, to be blunt. I've tried it. Tango Down was a project. I was a hired guy in that. I think we played 10 shows in 3 years, but I was a paid guy just to be in the band, and we didn't ever play it enough, and that's why I lost interest, because I want to play. But I've tried to go out as Reece solo, and I've actually we're going to that later, thinking that by being in a band like Bonfire, I could actually build to what you're talking about. But after leaving Bonfire, it's so difficult out there, even for a Bonfire or other well-known bands, to get people to go out. For me as a solo artist, doing hard rock music, nah. I just saw some Glenn Hughes dates, and it didn't look so good. The audience. It's tough.
True. Now, you are starting then Sainted Sinners, though, but that's a new brand. So tell me how you build a new brand to a point where club owners and promoters go, we want that. Because in a sense, Sainted Sinners is as much of a brand as David Reece is, right, at this point.
Yep, it's a good question, but it also helps that Frank from Bonfire is in the band, and Ferdy from Axel Pell. That every one of us on our own, and then collectively as a group, will bring that fan base. So if I bring in 100, then they bring in 100. So you put 200 or 300 people in a room, club owners go, yay! I sold liquor today, and the crowd loves it. They know your songs. You can play your repertoire from BC, Bangalore Choir. You know what I mean? You can do that. But yes, it is a struggle. But also, the label is a musician's label, and they care. So they're actually working behind the scenes, booking shows too, because they come from that. So that helps. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's a fight. But so far, I've risen it above it, and it seems to be working. The shows that we have booked, we're going to go out with Graham Bonnet, the first show on the 5th of February. Of course, Graham and I together will bring people in. He needs us, we need him. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think you did. Now,
Okay.
the other thing is the album or the band is Sainted Sinners. It makes me think of Saint and Sinners by Whitesnake. Were you at all inspired by David Coverdale, or are you at all a Whitesnake fan?
Tried and true up until about Slide It In. One of the greatest singers that walked the earth. I will say that I thought Paul Rogers is and always will be better, but I lived from Northwinds, that album, up until that time. I was, feverishly studying Coverdale's thing and saw them live a million times. But the name was Frank's idea. I had nothing to do with that. And when he told me, I went, oh, yeah, that record. And no, that really wasn't in my head when I put it together. But there is the sound. I mean, I tend to emulate some of that. But with the Hammond stuff with Verdi, yes, we have the old hard rock, blues rock vibe, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
With the
so
Bangalore Choir harmonies, we've.
right. Let's talk about the sound. The first few songs that I've heard, great rock songs. Is that sort of what we want to do? This sort of this classic rock, or not, but not classic rock in the sense of, but a classic rock style, and then keep going with that.
Yeah, I think that's who I am. I tried doing the hard, black, dark grunge thing when I did the Circle of Silence projects after Bangalore Choir. People just went, "What are you doing? You're singing great. That's not you." Um, so yeah, I mean, even if you listen to Glorious or The Tails and Pearls, that vocal style is who I am, and that's here. So I think it's far more representative of myself because I'm not singing those other songs, and I wrote these songs with Frank. So yeah, if that's the moniker that we have and the comparison, I'm fine with that. Most of my fan base, is going to be 25 to 60 years old. They know this sound, this feel. So that's the market, I suppose. And I'm a blues guy.
It's a great
And
market.
yeah, I'm a blues rock guy. I mean, and Paul Rogers, I watch him every day and I sing along. I never stop learning from those people. They just have that gift, and people feel it.
Um, where do we go from here with the band? Is this a band where you hope to have two, three albums and constant touring, or is this just a one-off and we'll see what the next
Nope.
project is?
Nope. I signed, like I said earlier, a multi-record deal.
Okay, that's
That
what I
was a
thought.
stipulation. And immediately upon release, which is the 24th, we booked shows, and the label were highly instrumental in making sure that happened. We've got in stores where we'll play acoustic. Uh, Dates are booked in March, festivals in the summer. No, I don't want to be in a project. I don't want to sing on 50 other people's albums. I just want to focus at this point in my life and finish my life here. And I don't know if the outside elements will affect that, but my answer right now is yeah, I do have a new solo album I'm writing. I have a little fun thing I do with RPG, the Reese Percadani group. It's more of a cover blues based thing that we play Switzerland, Czech Republic every few months. But no, Sainted Sinners is mine and Frank's band. We made that very clear. We're the owners of the band. We are the band. Nothing gets decided without the two of us, which is great. And the respect. I mean, without that, I can't work with a guy. I mean, if he doesn't like something, he tells me, and vice versa. It's like, no, I don't like that. Okay, next, what can we do? But yes, it's a touring thing. But I won't lie to you that the booking shows for anybody right now is the problem is in Europe is everybody's playing right now. I mean, I just had a bunch of shows in March canceled because they realized, wait a minute, Mendoza's here, Glenn Hughes is here, blah, blah, blah. And it's a small country, so you can drive 1.5 hours and be in every city. So they said, why don't we move it to the fall? Because they're not going to come, you know. It's tough. And a lot of bands are playing for the door.
Yeah,
So
that,
they are going out and throwing credit cards on the table and playing for 20 people just to keep the band on stage. And a lot of the club owners are saying, even if I have so and so, I've got 40 people. I'll take you for free. So when you come in with a fee and a production, they go, eh, I can get so and so for the door 80%, and I don't have to buy rooms to let you sleep. We're not animals. I mean, we have to be treated somewhat humanely. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and
tour.
I know the deal. I work closely with a club up here in Ottawa actually, and yeah,
Ah,
it's the same old same old. You know, the some bands come in and say, listen, we want $12,000 to play plus four hotel rooms, and you go, dude, it's a 150 room. You know,
mhm.
nobody's going to spend $100 on a ticket to see us, so you got to come down, and then yeah, it's just continual dance, and you know, unfortunately, not in the Ottawa case, but some clubs will bring you in, they'll make you all the promises, and then they'll say, "Oh, we're not going to pay you. Too bad," and you can't do anything. And
And
it's
here's another one.
yeah,
They'll go completely balls out and say, okay, I need your posters, I need you online, I need you networking. I'll go crazy and run to the post office 100 times a week, and then I'll go to the venue, and the club owner will walk in and sit behind his desk, and there's a mountain of my posters behind his chair. And when I pull into these, European cities, typically there's a big billboard of everything that's happening. You don't see your name. Then he's crying because he sold 10 pre-sale and he's hoping at 50 will walk up. And then you look behind him and I mean, it's the whole thing. It's not only just the bands. You got guys crying that they're not making money, but nobody's really pushing. They're all kind of going, well, the internet's ruined it. Nobody's coming. And I don't believe that. I think
yeah.
because I
I don't
network
believe
at
that
traffic.
either. I believe in hard work and no excuses. Um,
No,
I think you can succeed at anything you do with just hard work. I mean, just in
Leaf.
my case, for example, as a rock reporter, I have I've been doing this for many years. I have no infrastructure when I started. You know, it was just Mitch Lafon, this guy who had this concept, and I work like a son of a gun, and it keeps pushing and it keeps growing. You know, you can't do that. Even when I had my two heart surgeries, do you know that during my two heart surgeries, I didn't miss putting up one single episode, not a single one. And
Fantastic.
that's how you
Did you
do
have a
it.
heart attack? Did you have a
No,
heart
no, no,
attack?
no. I had, I guess, I don't know if I still have it, atrial fibrillation, and they did two interventions to stop it. I mean, nothing. They didn't cut anything open. They went through the groin and
No.
they, but you know, the first time I was out about 10 days, and the second time I was out about 9 weeks because I happened to also get a bad pneumonia, and everything went left at the same time. But I still dragged myself out of bed enough to put 20 minutes together and throw it up, and just to say because you have to be consistent, you know, out of
Are
sight,
you
out of
aware?
mind. Yep.
Are you aware that I had a massive heart attack in 2010?
Yes. Yes. In fact,
They went through my groin and they put in the stents, and I was in New York and fine all day, and then hit the floor, and then 2 weeks later I was on tour. And every day I don't know about you, but that fear of I don't feel so good, but I got to do this. And standing there in front of 1,000 people going, the lights could go out right now. I've got to hold on to this microphone, say like a drunk Aussie, just standing there going, I can do this. And that thought in my mind, like, what if? But I never quit. The cold sweats, I don't feel good today. And like
yeah,
you said, you have endured and persevered. And we both agree that it's not just the internet destroying, because right now we're on the internet. We're talking about what we love, and there
yeah.
are people out there that go and buy albums.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
think
And they
I
need to be
can
made
say for
aware.
me,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of bands refuse to go to Czech Republic or Romania or Poland, and ah, you know why? Because it's 4 extra hours. But you know what? There's people that Facebook me every day, please, and they'll go, and when you play there, there's hundreds of people standing outside, and it's cold there right now. They're just like, yeah, there's a market.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a market.
The Eastern European fan base is very strong from everybody I've heard, and you know. Anyway, let me just quickly. I never get enough of Eat the Heat by Accept, but this time let's talk quickly about Dieter Dirks. He produced it,
Yes.
engineered it, mixed it, yada yada yada. Um, and of course, he worked with the Scorpions. Do you learn anything from a Dieter Dirks? Do you respect Dieter Dirks? Obviously, you must have known who he was when you showed up. I mean, he wasn't like, oh, who's this guy, right? You go, oh, it's the
Uh,
Scorpions guy.
He was my idol. I
Right.
mean, I had I originally had seen Michael Schenker with UFO in the 70s, and the next day, I think I've told you before, I bought every UFO album or bootleg I could find, and I was stunned by just the sound of the band and the way they looked and everything. And then I started getting into Lonesome Crow, where Schenker had come from with his brother, and I said, "Who is this Dieter Dirks guy?" Breeze Music, Harvest Records, and I said, "Oh my God!" Well, then I get the call to go audition. I walk into the Dirk Studios, and there he is. To me, he was as much a star as Rudolf Schenker or Klaus Meine. Yes, I can say to you with certainty, his first thing was when he discovered my voice, it was through a fluke of a cassette that I had done with Mitch Perry. And he was frantically searching for a replacement for Udo because they'd had another guy and it didn't work. And he went to this woman, Lucy Forbes's house, and she said, "Try this guy. He's a really nice guy." I think he went to Colorado. He put the cassette in, he goes, "That's him." He heard that sound in my voice. That's him. What he taught me as a singer was, hey, you got all the notes, dude. Your pitch is pretty good, but your phrasing is crap. You sing ahead of the group. We would sing from 1 in the afternoon till 1 in the morning and party in that studio and demo and work. And he taught me the German, I guess the word is the German ethic. It doesn't come easy. And the amount of work that the Scorpions did is why they are where they are. And that was a group collective. I think that was their greatest time. Some of the Keith Olsen stuff was great, but he musically, I mean, I had no concept of melodies and stuff. He held a little Casio next to his head, and he would go bup, 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 and sing that melody with my words that I wrote. And I go, no, 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 and over and over. He would make me, we would demo the song one day, record it all day. Then he would give me the song with the click track or a metronome because I was singing ahead of the beat. And then he would say, "Sleep with this, and I want you to play that until it drives you insane. And tomorrow we go again." The next day I would sing it. The phrasing was a little better. And I'd have that tick, tick, tick. It's a little over the top, I might say, but it really stuck. And then I'd say, "Oh, this is great." And he'd go, flat, sharp, ahead, behind, here. And we'd take that and I'd sleep with that. And it got to where I wanted to kill the guy a few times, to be honest. But on the third or fourth day, we started getting a track. Pretty much everything you hear on that album is pieced hard because I was clueless. He brought David Reese, gave me an identity, I guess, and it opened a lot of doors. And one thing he said, and I've said this many times, we were recording the album. He hit pause and he wheeled around in his chair and looked at me and said, "You realize that if this album fails, it's going to be my fault and your fault?" And I said, "What? Shut up." He goes, "No, they're going to blame you and me. And you know what? When it was over, that's who they blamed. Him and me."
Of course. The new guys, right?
The new guys. I mean, Dirks, he took the sound from Accept. He destroyed him. He got this American, and he goes, "They're gonna destroy us." And I went, "Oh no, they won't." But he was so right on. I just saw him a few years ago, and he came to a birthday party of mine in Germany, and it was heartwarming. Because I have a lot of love for that man. I mean, I respect him.
Incredible talent, and I don't know if I've ever asked you, but are you proud of that Accept record? I know we've talked about it, but I don't know if I've ever asked you if you're proud
Yeah,
of it.
you know what? It's weird because the bad blood happened at the end of it, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I knew it opened a bunch of doors for me, but I, on a daily basis, get people telling me what that album means to them now. At the beginning, they hated me, but now it's like they have this rebirth of how great it is. And I listened to it the other day, and I went, "That's a pretty dang good album for a first." Yeah, I'm proud of it. I mean, it's not Accept. Okay, let's be honest, but there's some cool stuff on there. And I still get paid royalties for that album. It's actually, they re-sent it out in vinyl. I get these statements, people buy it from the old crowd and the new crowd, and I'm like, So it's got legs to this day, and that was 88, 1988, 89.
89, 1989. So yeah, listen,
Yeah,
you know,
amazing.
it's like a lot of these bands where, like the Motley Crue record with John Corabi, everybody went, "Oh, it's not Motley Crue. There's no
Fantastic.
Vince Neil." And in 2017, as people look back, they go, "You know what? It's a damn good record. It just the name
Wow.
threw you off, right? Sort of like, except had they called it the Wolf Hoffman solo album, people probably would have said top 10 album. That's what.
Great side project, great
Yeah,
direction, but Udo and Accept are still over here waiting in the, but here's
yeah,
what Wolf wanted to do that didn't work for Accept.
yep. And that's what you mean, and that's what
Peter
I'm.
Maltus wrote that album.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
Peter
he's a
Maltus and Stefan Kaufman wrote the music.
masterful guy. But that's the thing, when you talk about branding, when sometimes branding is your friend when you want to book shows and you want to sell T-shirts, and sometimes branding's your enemy when you want to do something completely different. And that's one of these
It
cases where,
follows you
yeah, it follows you.
like a bad part.
Yep.
It's like a movie.
Hopefully,
If it wasn't success, your career's finished.
yeah.
You're
Hopefully
doing
when you go
daytime
on the
TV,
road.
and
Well, daytime TV wouldn't be
yeah,
so bad for me. But hopefully, when you go on the
yeah.
road, come on, throw one song or two in the set list. People want to hear that stuff live. Give them,
We're gonna do
whatever.
Hellhammer and Generation Clash actually, because a lot of the promoters said, "Well, Reese, throw in some Eat the Heat, and we're gonna throw in a Bangalore Choir tune." And I swear, I mean, that
There you
Frank
go.
said, "Do you have an issue with that?" I said, "Nope," because I do it in my solo band. And when I do Angel in Black and Hellhammer and Generation Clash, the crowd starts roaring, and that bass line do do do, they go ah. They tested. My mother and father went to see the Eagles once years ago after that album had been out for a few years when they did the Hell Freezes Over reunion, and my father and mother were sitting outside in somewhere in Colorado, I think, and tuning the PA. They used Generation Clash. Boom, 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 and everybody started cheering. And he says the bass was so intense, and then everybody knew the song, and my mother started crying. Oh my God, that's my kid! But they used that song to tune up the PA and get everything ready for the Eagles to come on. Pretty cool, huh?
There you go. So that'll have to be the opening song in every set list, just like Cheap Trick always uses "Hello There." They said, well, it's because we never had sound check, so we created this song that sort of gave us an artificial sound check. So there you go.
What a band too! What a band those guys are. I mean, they're
Oh,
amazing. What a great singer.
absolutely fantastic, and so deserving of being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and everything. I mean, just what is it?
You know who his favorite singer is? Robin Zander. Shocking.
I'm trying to
Barry
think.
Gibb.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, I was like, what? And he goes, listen to him. Listen to the Bee Gees. I went, and I started listening to him later, and I went, oh my God, you're right. Amazing.
Yeah, Barry Gibb is a wonderful talent, and suddenly my dog has decided to circle me like a shark. Well, there we go. Fast as a
He's
shark
got
he
one.
is. Um,
Yeah, he's got one poking its nose out. He's got to go outside, right?
I think that might be it because I've never seen him roll around like this. But anyway, there you go. Always a pleasure. Sainted Sinners is coming
New album, El
soon.
Puerto Records.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Videos are coming out. Go to my site, David Reese Official. Go to Frank Powney's
come
site,
here.
El Puerto's Records. We got our merch site set up. Shows. Also, hey, real quick,
Yeah,
Pete Fry and I are
here
working
I'm
on
gonna try to get the dog over here. Keep going.
yeah,
Come here.
and we're working on some U.S. dates right now on the East Coast, and we're looking at early summer. So right now that looks really good. So if I can get the band over to the U.S., boom. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And of course, if you get over here, I can certainly help you with shows in Ottawa and Toronto. And I was going to show the folks the puppy
Send me
before
an
we leave.
email. I'll come.
Yeah, hold on. You want to see the
Yeah,
pup here
raise them
before?
up. My dog's outside.
Hold on a sec. Come here.
Yeah. Mama, get Rebel. We put him on TV. Go get him. You want to see my dog? They want to see our dogs. I'll hold him right here. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Are you there?
I'm back. Here we are. Come on. There.
Ah,
Oh,
what's the dog's name?
Max.
Hi, Max.
And
Come here. Come here. Let me show you Rebel.
he's
This is
been
my.
here. He's been with
Here
me
we go.
for just a little bit. Oh, look, there he is. Look at the puppy. He-
Look
yeah,
at the doggies.
he's been with me for a year. He's a rescue. He was a truck driver had picked him up. They found him on the side of the road, and did some touring with this truck driver, and he gave it to a lady who kept it for about 4 months, and the
Hi,
lady.
Max. I know, Max.
The lady works. The lady was working 14 hours a day. Said she couldn't take care of it, and my wife's sister was her personal trainer. And there you go. So he's been with me for a year now. There you go. You go, boy.
Right.
Anyway, all
Hello,
right.
Max.
We're
Rock
we're,
and
we're
roll
com-
doggy.
comparing music, comparing dogs. Oh, there you go. Oops, here. Let's stick.
Yeah. Send me an email and talk to me about Canada because I spent months of my life from the east to the west, back and forth in the old days. I would love to come to Ontario and play. So
Yeah, and
we're
that's
all ears, dude.
easy to do, and yeah. So we'll get it all set up, and of course we'll bring the new music to the folks and a couple of those classic accept songs. And always a pleasure, sir. I'll put him down for
Love
a
you,
second.
Mitch.
He wants to go out, but always a pleasure, and I will have this up
Do my brother.
quickly.
God bless you and good luck. You're doing great things, and I thank you for your attention to the band.
Absolutely, always.
All right. Ciao.
Cheers.